So here's 5 receivers I'm looking to trade. If your trade deadline still didn't hit or you don't have one at all, the first guy's Michael Thomas of the New Orleans Saints. Thomas last week, he was on my buy-in trade for list, but this week I'm looking to sell him off once again. And a couple reasons here. Thomas, he don't look the same in his first 2 games back. In this game, it was another bad performance. 2 catches for 27 yards on 7 targets. Now Drew Brees, he's out, who knows, 3 or 4 weeks, the reports are, with a punctured lung and multiple broken ribs for Drew Brees. So Michael Thomas now will have Jameis Winston in at quarterback. That could be a good or a bad thing. Now in Week 11, he versus the Atlanta Falcons. Winston, he didn't look good at all last week in his relief. And who knows, Taysom Hill, he might even start for this team. So Thomas last year with Bridgewater, he had a couple good games. But this year, I don't know if he's going to do it with Winston. He don't seem the same. He just don't seem into it. So we'll wait and see on Thomas. But if I could get a premium package still for Michael Thomas off name value, this is the time to go do it before your deadline's up or whatever the case is. The next guy I'm looking to sell off is DJ Moore of the Carolina Panthers. Moore, just I don't know with him either. The receptions are there, not there for him. And again, 4 catches, 96 yards and a touchdown on 7 targets. For Moore, he's been a touchdown-dependent receiver the whole year. He's had games where he's only had 2 or 3 catches for 20 to 30 yards, and Moore, he's just not consistent. He's coming off a good game here, so this is the time to sell him. After a big game, you got to sell him off. So I think right here, Moore, maybe you could get a running back, a 2 or 3 running back for him, or receiver, or just package him in a deal. But DJ Moore, the targets aren't there. The huge games really aren't there. His highest was 23 fantasy points this year. He's cracked 20 only twice. This week he had 1960 in PPR leagues. So DJ Moore, he's not putting up the stud numbers you expected, drafting him in the 3rd or 4th round of your fantasy draft. So go out there and trade him after this good game he had. The next guy is another guy who had a good game, and he hasn't been consistent most of the seasons. Adam Thielen of the Minnesota Vikings. We saw him last night on Monday Night Football. Thielen finally had that signature game in this one versus a pretty good Chicago Bear defense. 4 catches, 43 yards, and 2 touchdowns on 7 targets. But once again, Dalvin Cook, he got about 30 touches total. Justin Jefferson, he looked like the quicker and more explosive receiver with 8 catches for 135 yards in this one. And once again, Thielen, his yards weren't great. 43 yards and 2 catches for 2 touchdowns, which saved his day. 7 targets, that's decent. But we saw similar numbers in Week 9, 5 targets, 2 catches, only 38 yards. And then in Week 8, 3 catches, 27 yards. And then going back to Week 6, 3 catches, 51 yards, and a touchdown. So Thielen now, since Week 6, he only broke 50 yards once, and that's a big troublesome stat for me. So Thielen, if he's not getting touchdowns, he's not getting the fantasy points. And you can't expect him to get touchdowns each and every week as Thielen. So right now, his value's back up to a pretty decent point. And this week is a week I'm going to look to go trade Adam Thielen. Because if you're not cracking 50 yards since Week 6, that's a big problem. And I can't rely on you to get that touchdown each and every week. So go sell Thielen right now. The next guy is Devontae Parker of the Miami Dolphins. And Parker, I said once Tua Tagovailoa comes in, his numbers are going to go down. I thought the Dolphins would struggle as a whole, but that hasn't been the case. The only thing I've been right about is Parker's numbers going down, and they have since Tagovailoa came in Week 8. Week 8 versus the Rams, 1 catch for 3 yards and a touchdown on 2 targets, 7.5 points. Week 9, 7 targets, 6 catches, 64 yards versus Arizona. And then in Week 10 versus the Chargers in a plus matchup, 7 targets, 2 catches, 31 yards. Tua, he's not getting the ball to his receivers that much unless it was Preston Williams or Grant who's filled in. Him and Parker, they're not on the same page for whatever reason. Tua, he's not throwing for many yards either. The first 2 out of 3 games, he's had under 200 passing yards. And I think that's going to continue. They're going to run the ball a lot. He's going to hit the tight ends and running backs and his second receiver, just Parker, with that number one corner on him each and every week. I don't see Tua going his way. Miami, they're going to play the ball conservative like they have, and it's been working for them. They're 3-0 with Tua in there. They got Denver and the Jets coming up, 2 games where they can run the football easily and they don't have to pass a lot and let their defense take over the game. So Parker, I don't like his outlook for the rest of the fantasy season. So if you could get anything of decency for Parker, you go out there and trade him, because soon he might be droppable if he puts up a couple more dud performances like he has in the last 3 weeks now. So the fifth and final guy I'm looking to sell off here, and he's a guy who's been on my start list and buy list for weeks, is Travis Fulgham versus the Giants. He had a horrible game on 5 targets, 1 catch for 8 yards, and it's not a Fulgham problem. It's more of a Carson Wentz problem, in my opinion, for Philadelphia. Wentz, he's been erratic now the last 2 weeks. He's barely getting his guys the ball. Fulgham, I know he's came off of monster games of 3 or 4 games over 20 fantasy points in the last 6 or 7 weeks. But Fulgham here, I don't know. I can't count on Wentz. He's not getting his receivers the ball. Corners now, they're trying to take Fulgham out and letting other guys try to beat him, like we saw the Giants do with Richard Rodgers. They let him try to beat him. Goddard, he didn't do much, and Rager. So I didn't like the Eagles' offense as a whole. Just Miles Sanders, he's back now. And Philly, they used 3 running backs in this game, trying to run a lot. So I think Fulgham, his usage and his targets are going to go down. And defenses now, they're circling him as the main guy there. And I don't know if Fulgham, he could adjust that quickly to top corners covering him. So I'm looking to sell him off. And that's 5 receivers I'm looking to trade and sell heading into Week 11.